Hi, this is Sensei James Leonelli from Sensei's Weekly Mindset, and I'm here to talk to you about betonline.net. Betonline.net is your #1 source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football to basketball, soccer, and esports. Don't forget my personal favorite, MMA. We've got it all on betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, we can help you find those on BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. And don't forget BetOnline for NHL, boxing, golf, and like I said, my personal favorite, the sport of MMA. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. Life isn't always easy, and you don't have to face it alone. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. With BetterHelp, you have access to a network of over 25,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of needs. To get started, you simply answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions when it's most convenient for you. The best part is, if your therapist isn't the right fit for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. With BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom-picked for you, more scheduling flexibility, and at a more affordable price, all from the comfort at home. To start your journey and to get 10% off of your first month, go to betterhelp.com/sensei. That's betterhelp.com/sensei. BetterHelp, you deserve to be happy. Hi guys, Sensei James Leonelli here to talk to you about another one of our sponsors, LMNT. An electrolyte drink mix. Each one of these little packets gives you exactly what you need to keep you as hydrated as all us athletes like to be. If you're like me, you work out a lot, and when you work out a lot, you also sweat a lot. Now, when we sweat, we don't lose just water, of course. We also sweat out salt. We sweat out electrolytes. So each one of these packets contains 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium, giving you everything that you need in order to maintain optimal hydration and nothing that you don't. So to go online, place an order for your sample pack, and to get yourself a bonus free sample pack, you're going to go to this website right here, elementallabs.refr.cc/James Leonelli. You're going to see this down in the video below, but I'll say it one more time for you. elementallabs.refr.cc/James Leonelli. Again, it's a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing that you don't. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Sensei's Weekly Mindset. I'm Sensei James Leonelli, owner and head instructor of Tiger Schulman's here in Smithtown. Once again, I'm back in my home recording space, ready to give you guys this week's food for thought. As I am, you notice I'm wearing a little more of the Everyday We Train line. Again, you can see this design and many, many, many others available on tiegear.com. Go there, check it out. There's the street style collection, a whole bunch of other awesome things like that you guys can wear both on the mat and off. Obviously things like this you wear off the mat, but nonetheless, there's great things to wear on the mat and there's great things to wear off the mat as well. So as we are here today, we are a couple of days removed from a pretty special weekend. It was Kai's birthday. So Kai turned 12 years old. Pretty exciting, right? Pretty awesome. An exciting birthday. And we did a couple of cool special things for his birthday. First among them, we had a big birthday party for his friends at a place not too far from us called Urban Air. And Urban Air is this crazy indoor adventure park. It is, to call it a trampoline park would be an insult, kind of, because that would downplay how much there is to do there. You walk in, there's there's go-karts, there's bumper cars, there's VR, there's trampolines, of course. There's a dodgeball trampoline course. There is I like tumble lane trampoline thing. There's a big balance beam with like pugil sticks and like crash pads underneath it. There's Ninja Warrior courses. There's what they call the drop zone, which has like trampoline lanes and a big giant crash pad you can jump and fly into. There's the pro area, they call it, with these like super high power trampolines that bounce you extra high. There's a ropes course up high. And there's also a zip line that runs around the border of the whole place. And I really feel like I'm leaving stuff out and not doing this justice. And I haven't even touched on the arcade. Right? And there's also like a whole bunch of stuff that like you can just climb on and climb through, and you know, little obstacle courses and obstacles and things like that that are super fun as well. And it's a really fun place. Myself, Mrs. Sensei, the kids went not long ago, and it was an awesome time when we went. Like we had so much fun. Did everything. Like everything. It was funny back then. Oh, I forgot. There's like climbing walls. That's one of the big features about climbing walls. Back then, Riley was too afraid to do the climbing walls or to do the zip line thing, and this time she was all about doing both. She was climbing like nobody's business. She was having all sorts of fun. But nonetheless, as we looked around there, let me get to the other thing we did first. Then I'll circle back. The other thing that we did is my brother and his girlfriend both decided that what they wanted to do is they wanted to bring everybody to the Bronx Zoo for Kai's birthday, and really for the kids' birthday, right? For Kai and Riley's birthday. And it was an awesome trip, right? We went earlier, and it was some rain interrupted the day towards the tail end, but that's okay. We went with a bunch of our family. It was awesome. Riley was very, very excited at the prospect of seeing all the animals. And Kai was as well. Riley was just a little more outspoken about it. And we got around most of the zoo. The Bronx Zoo is huge. I can't find words to do it justice for just how enormous the Bronx Zoo is. And you go there in one day and you're hoping to see the whole zoo, and that's just not going to happen, right? Like I don't know how. Maybe if you had two adults and you were really organized and that's all you had was just two adults, maybe you could do it all in one day, maybe. But like with kids and with those older, like it just wasn't gonna happen. Right? Having to stop for meals and stuff, right? Like if it was just Mr. Sensei and I, like we would eat our meals standing up and walk through, that'd be fine. But not quite the case with kids. And of course, with kids you got to worry about where every gift shop is and all the bathrooms and all that kind of stuff as well. But nonetheless, just a huge, huge park with great experiences. We got to see some really cool stuff. We got to do some really cool stuff. Whole bunch of cool animals. And then there was just the temperament of some of the animals that were there. There was one part of the zoo where there was two lions, and they're just sunning themselves out on this big rock. And their area is within an enclosure for like gazelles and stuff like that, and there's no fence separating them, just a giant moat is separating them, like a big like gully. So I don't think there was water under it, like anybody could have swam across. But like the lions just kind of like, yeah, whatever, I see you, I know I can't get to you, it is what it is. Just kind of chill watching their prey just hanging out right next to them. That cracked us up. There was another point where we were going in the aquatic birds building, I believe it was, in the Bronx Zoo. And there was like a crocodile. And the crocodile had swam up so its face was right up against the glass, just like one eye up against the glass. And like Kai and Riley were like right up on the... They were right up against the glass on the crocodile and like talking to the crocodile through the glass. And they had a whole lot of fun. Honestly, my favorite thing of the whole day that we saw, that we went to see a gorilla enclosure. There's a bunch of gorillas, and some are stalking around, and one guy was like giving everybody's back, and he's like leering over his shoulder at us, And then we come around the bend, and in this cutout where there's like a tree, and there's like the shell of the tree right by the glass enclosure, there's this dude just flat on his back, just out snoring. One hand over his head, other hand is kind of resting on his leg. You're watching his feet just twitch as he was just asleep, and so not bothered by the crowd watching him sleep. It was quite entertaining, quite honestly. But the one thing that was like the glaring thread through all of this that I saw as I was looking through the crowds in both places was the amount of, for the families that were there, the amount of dads that I saw, people who were in my age range, plus or minus, 5-10 years in either direction. People in my age range who were just not in shape at all. Like, no ability to do some of the cool, crazy things with their kids. There was one particular thing we did in the zoo, and it was this elevated, like, I don't call it a jungle gym. That would be not accurate, and not quite like a ropes course either. But it was like a netted-in nature trail where you were up higher, and it wasn't a difficult thing to do. You didn't need to be real athletic to do it or anything, but it was just like, every step was a little shaky. So, you need to be fairly sure-footed and have, decent balance and all of that. And the amount of dads that I watched just let their kids go on that thing, and they just stood there. They stood on the outside of it. And it was a pretty decent trail. Like, we were on it for a good, 10 minutes or so. So that tells you how long this thing was. And just watching these dads like, yeah, buddy, good job, from the ground. When, like, this thing clearly holds adults, and there's plenty of other adults on it. But there's dad who, because of, like, his, because of his lack of athleticism, because of the fact that he doesn't take care of himself, he's sitting off to the side while his kid is experiencing this adventure without him. And that's not to say that, every kid needs you there every step of the way. Of course not. You definitely need to let them mess up, right? You need to let them, have those kind of things. Absolutely. They need to have some moments without you. But when you're doing something that you're doing expressly to build memories, like going to the Bronx Zoo, you better be there. Right? You better make sure you can be there. Now, there was one part of this little obstacle course where there was this tunnel, and as we were going on, the guide kind of like cautioned us, and they were like, hey, this tunnel's really tight. Like, really, really tight. You're going to have a hard time. Adults, you're probably going to have to crawl. So, like, they built it up to be this big thing. And then we got to it, and we looked at, like, the staff members, they were like, is this the one tunnel in the thing? And the guy's like, oh, yeah, this is it. It was nothing. I crouched down. The only thing I couldn't do was I couldn't pick my head up because my hat would have hit the top of the tunnel. I had to, like, walk with my head, like, crouch and walk with my head down, which, no big deal, right? No big deal at all. But again, I was there with the kids doing the stuff with them, while I saw other dads just sitting to the side. And the same held true when we were at Urban Air, right? The amount of parents that I saw sitting to the side and watching their kid. Now, sure, at Urban Air, you got to pay a little bit extra to do it with your kids. But it's like, let's imagine, I'm trying to remember the numbers off the top of my head because it was a birthday party, so obviously the numbers aren't the same. But I feel like, whatever the highest price ticket is for a kid, let's say it's $35. Let's say that's what it is. The adult companion pass is like half, less, right? And if you're taking your kid to a place like this all day, and then you're buying all their expensive food and whatever, you definitely got an extra $15 or $17, whatever it is, to jump out there with them. And the problem is one of two things. Some of the dads that I saw were the type of dads who were just like, oh, I'm too busy. And they were on their cell phones, and they were answering emails, and they were doing all that kind of garbage, while they should be spending time and bonding with their kids. And other dads were just as bad in that they just couldn't do it. They weren't in the shape to do these types of things with their kids. Now, don't get me wrong. There's certain things in this place that, like, okay, it's not necessarily adult friendly, But like, if your kid's jumping on the trampoline, go jump on a big trampoline thing with your kid, right? If your kid's going to the drop zone thing where they're jumping down and they're jumping up and landing, go do it with them, right? Like, if you're injured, sure, sit to the side, right? But that wasn't the dads that I was seeing. That wasn't the moms that I was seeing. Right? If you're chasing around another munchkin, not talking to you, right? It's the people who just didn't take their biggest responsibility in life seriously. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about the example of a healthy life. If you lead an example of a healthy life, you have a much greater likelihood of your children leading a healthy life. We've talked about this idea many, many times before, but it's rare that I have a weekend where it smacks me in the face so boldly, because it was like, out of all the parents that were there, and again, I'm not going to say all of them were sitting aside for wrong reasons. Some of them had an infant. Okay, you're cool. All right. Some of them had like a big walking boot on their foot because they broken their ankle or whatever. You're cool. I'm not talking to any of you guys. I'm talking about the dad who had trouble walking up the ramp to get to the trampoline. You owe it to your children to get into shape. You do. Right? That is your responsibility as a parent. Right? There's a big difference between having an unpreventable disease or having a injury that comes simply from using your body. Those things happen, right? I'm not talking to those people, right? That's right. It's rare that someone chooses certain ailments, right? We know there's certain ailments that you bring upon yourself, right? Lung cancer, generally, you bring upon yourself, generally, right? Then there's other things, other ailments that generally you don't bring upon yourself, right? People don't get, like, again, we'll stay with the idea of cancer here, right? People don't get, like, other stomach cancer. They don't get, like, kidney cancer. They don't get these kind of things, prostate cancer, like, because they're living in a healthy lifestyle. These are things that, breast cancer on Long Island, it's a big one. These are things that just happen. They're just there, right? And there's a big difference between having to sideline yourself from that and just living a lethargic lifestyle. And I don't know how to be that type of dad. I don't. Like, I can't wrap my head around it. Like, my dad, when we were kids, he wouldn't necessarily be out doing every single thing with us. Wasn't. He was on the weekends. We did housework. When we played, though, like if we went in the pool, he went in the pool with us, right? If we were playing baseball, he may not play with us, but he would occasionally. If we were going to bike ride, he'd go on a bike ride with us, right? He would do stuff like that. And it's like, it's your responsibility as a dad to be able to do those things. It's your responsibility as a mom to be able to do those things. And again, I'm not talking to the people who have the completely, on it, the injuries that came from getting their body ready for it. I'm not talking to the people who, have the injury that or the disease that life threw upon them rather than the one that they earned. I'm talking about the parent who forgot that as a parent, the most important person that you need to take care of is yourself. Because if you are not well, you cannot take care of your children well. You can't, right? It is the greatest job you have as a parent, right? You think about it in nature, right? When we see animals and we want to rescue an animal, when do we rescue baby animals? When the parent can't take care of them. Right? Well, what makes a parent unable to take care of them? And, an animal kingdom, it's a little bit different, right? You don't see a bird that's so fat that it can't take care of its kids, right? You can see that in humans. Of course, there's other things as well. But, like, again, I'm not talking about, like, you got to go run, like, miles and miles and miles every day. I'm not talking about you have to, do a tough mudder with your kid every weekend. But like, if your kid goes to the trampoline park and you don't have one of those disqualifiers where you have that, that injury that was caused by keeping yourself in shape, or you have the little one to chase, or you have that like real life, life foisted it upon you kind of illness, get out there in the trampoline park with your kid, right? Go on the obstacle thing in the zoo with your kid. Those moments are so valuable. Like, we had the birthday parties, right? So there's a whole bunch of kids there. And I know that while the other kids are around, while the mess of the other kids are around, I know that they're not looking for me. I know I'm second on that list of their friends, and I get that, and I'm okay with that. But we're there long beyond the party because the party entitles you to a day pass. And, friends are trickling out as time goes along. And I made it a point to like go with Kai and like some of his friends when I knew he had like a smaller amount of his friends. I made a point to go with him, and we did a couple of cool things together. We did the ropes course together. We did the zip line together. We went and we bounced around together. And then I came back for a little while. And then I went and I found Riley. And me and Riley did a bunch of stuff together. I found her. It was funny. When I first found her, she had like found this group of like older girls, like 14, 15 years old. And she's like, these are my friends. You can leave me with my friends. I'm fine. So finally I come back at a certain point, and I find her like she's just bouncing on the trampoline by herself. And I'm like, what's up, girl? And we start jumping on the trampolines together, and we're jumping, side by side, and we're doing little switches back and forth as I'm punching my microphone here. Right? We're bouncing off the wall. Hey, Riley, let's go into the drop zone thing. Okay, yeah, let's go do that. So we go, and we're in there for a while and running and bouncing and flipping, and I'm flipping, she's flipping, she's doing crazy cartwheels because she could do that kind of stuff way better than I can. But still, I can jump in the thing and, get in and out with, Then we go over the pros, and we're jumping as high as we can and doing big crazy switches and all this stuff back and forth. And laughing and giggling the whole time. And just having a really good time together. And then we get to like, she wants to show off for me. She wants to go back over to the rock walls or whatever and show me how she can climb the walls. And I was all about it. And it was funny. She's like, can you go too? I was like, I don't know if girls can go on this thing. So we got there, and the girl's like, are you coming too? The attendant. And I looked at Riley. I said, am I going too? She goes, no. Yeah. No, I want you to watch me take videos. Okay. Are you sure? Yeah, okay. So for there, I stood there and supported her, but I was there for her. And I was ready to climb up that thing if I needed to, right? And it's one of those things that it stings a little to hear, right? That if you're the parent who knows they're the parent that has to sit by the sidelines because of the choices you've made in your life, the fact that you did not prioritize your health, fitness, and wellness, right? I know it stings to hear that, like, oh, you got to do something about that. And I know you probably hear it from other people in your life. But you have to remember who you're doing it for. So often, people who take care of their health are thought of as vain, are thought of as selfish, when nothing could be further from the truth. I have such vivid memories of doing things with my father. I laugh now. Like when I get in the pool and the first thing I do is I grab the skimmer and I go in circles, grabbing everything out of the pool. I think to myself, I'm like, where did I learn this? This is what my father would do. When he would get in the pool with us, first thing he did is he would get in, he would get the skimmer, and he would go around and get everything out of the pool before he would swim at all. Right? It's what I learned. It's what I did. Right? We went on bike rides together. We did all this stuff together. And my dad was fit enough to do it. And not only do you owe your kids a long, high-quality life with them, right? But you owe them memories, and you owe them the good memories. And, the good memories are not, what they unwrap under the Christmas tree. They're not. I don't remember anything unwrapped under the Christmas tree. How many Christmases did I have as a little kid where I unwrapped all the cool things that I wanted that year? Oh my gosh, I got everything on my list. This is incredible. I can't remember. It's funny. The only things I remember unwrapping were things that, like, I remember I got in trouble for because they weren't supposed to be mine, and I grabbed them and started unwrapping them. Right? I remember that, but I don't remember the cool stuff that I unwrapped. I remember watching my family now. Once I started gift giving, I remember them opening the gifts I got for them that I knew would be impactful for a giggle, for a smile, or would just, hit just right. I remember all of that, but I don't remember from me. But I do remember my mom out in the backyard playing catch with me. I remember that. I remember my dad taking me when he got really into riding his bikes in the summer, and he would go. I remember going on his big morning bike ride with him one morning. I remember that. These are the impactful memories that we have. And these are the memories that we make with our children. And it's up to us to be fit enough to do them. I'm not saying you got to be an ultramarathoner. I'm not saying you got to be David Goggins. But you have to remember that the choice is twofold. It's a binary choice. It's either be fit enough that when your kid's like, Dad, you want to take a bike ride? You have the option to say yes. You could say, hey, bud, we got to finish these things first, and then we can do that. Or today's not the day, but tomorrow. Right? That's a fine answer. As long as you have the possibility of saying yes, and you know that that's not going to be a problem. Or like, hey, Dad, Mom, come on the trampoline with me in the trampoline park. As long as you have the ability to say yes, right? And life didn't give you a reason to say no. That little one, right? The other things that I mentioned, right? As long as you're physically able to do it, your kids remember that, right? I remember, it's funny, in all my life, I don't remember either of my parents ever so drunk that I remember saying, Mom or Dad is drunk. I don't remember it. Never once. Now, does that mean it never happened while I was alive? Probably did. They just waited until I was in bed, right? Or when I wasn't looking. Like they chose their moments, right? But I remember all these positive things, and as a parent, it is our responsibility to be the positive role model. It's important for your kids to see that you take your health and wellness seriously. If they see that you're training, if they know that you're training, right? If they can become a part of your training, man, what that does for them, what that shows them is how you are an adult, right? There's a reason that there's a stereotype that you always marry your parents, right? You marry your mother, you marry your father, they say, because that is the archetype that is built in our mind because of the example that our parents gave us, right? There's a reason I work like I do. It's my father, right? There's a reason that my wife is as caring as she is, her mother, right? There's so many things that are just the archetypes we took from our parents. And even if you don't have kids yet, even if you don't, there's somebody in your life that you're inspiring. There's somebody that's looking up to you. There's somebody who's watching your journey and wants to cheer you on. Well, give them a reason. Give them a reason. And more importantly, do it because you know it will inspire others to do the same. I don't know how many people in my life I've seen where they lost a bunch of weight and then it made somebody else say, you know what, if they can do it, I can do it. That's the thing, right? If you show your kids that you can work full-time and maintain a home and have a healthy relationship with your spouse and take care of yourself, guess what? They'll do the same thing too. I'll leave you with this simple question. If you're a parent and you looked at yourself in the mirror, your life overall, and you said to yourself, if my kid was living my exact life, would I be happy? Are you happy with that answer? And if you're not happy with that answer, you got the power to change it, and it's time to do so. This is your wake-up call. So that is all I have for you guys this week. As always, you can reach me via email, senseileonelli@gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at sensei_leonelli. You can find me on Facebook. I'm Sensei James Leonelli. You can find my school online at tsmasmithtown.com. On Facebook, we're at facebook.com/TigerSchulmanSmithtown. Find us on Twitter and Instagram at tsmma_Smithtown. Find out more about the Tiger Schulman's organization as a whole at tsk.com. You can find Sensei's Weekly Mindset on Instagram at Sensei's Weekly Mindset. Go to my linktree, linktr.ee/SenseiLeonelli. You can find sponsorship information. You can find Flex Fights information. You can find Tiger Schulman's information. Everything you need to know is there. Sponsorship opportunities still available. Feel free to reach out to me any of the ways that I've given you. Other than that, my friends, make sure that you guys leave a rate and review. It just helps. Subscribe. Get your new episodes every Wednesday. Don't miss a one. And other than that, my friends, make sure that you guys share the podcast. It is the only form of advertising that I have. I very much appreciate when I see you doing it. Until next time, my friends, invest in yourselves. I'll see you guys on the mat.